Here's an experiment for you. Take passionate experts in human resource technology. Invite cross-industry experts from inside and outside HR. Mix in what's happening in people analytics today. Give them the technology to connect. Hit record. Pour their discussions into a beaker. Mix thoroughly. And voila, you get the HR Data Labs podcast, where we explore the impact of data and analytics to your business. We may get passionate and even irreverent, but count on each episode challenging and enhancing your understanding of the way people data can be used to solve real-world problems. Now, here's your host, David Turetsky.
Hello and welcome to the HR Data Labs podcast, ending Season 7 overview. And I am your host, David Turetsky, alongside my BFF and co-host, partner from salary.com, Dwight Brown. Dwight, how are you?
I'm great. You know, the way your first few words started, it sounded like you were announcing a UFC fight or something.
Well,
now, in the green corner.
It could be. It could actually turn out to be, especially when we go through the review of our predictions from last season.
True.
Season 6. So we'll see.
We could be bloodied and battered from that.
No, it never happens that way. I mean, but we might. We might want to actually start like being a little bit more edgy. So we'll see.
Get a little controversy in there.
A little controversy. You know, a little controversy never hurt anybody. But
right.
In this case, you know, if you're comparing this to UFC, I think that's a little bit overkill. Just a little.
I've never been prone to exaggeration.
Oh, you're prone. Very prone. But as we do in every season finale, we're going to start off with one fun thing that no one knows about Dwight from the last 6 months.
Did I talk about polishing rocks before?
Do you think that I remember you talking about polishing rocks? I should. Is this when the paragliding doesn't go well and you fall down and you start rumbling around on the ground? Is that?
Yeah, no, that's when I start polishing my teeth on the gravel is what happens there. But
No, you did not tell me about polish or us.
All right.
Community.
Yeah. So here's a little nerd secret for you. When I was a kid, I was kind of fascinated with rocks, and so my parents bought me a rock polisher, and I used to get rocks from wherever I could get rocks from. I'd pick them up and see something cool and try to polish it up. I tried polishing gravel. Gravel doesn't polish, by the way; it just disintegrates. Just in case you were wondering.
That's good. It's good to know.
I would polish these rocks up, and then I would sell them around the neighborhood. I would go from house to house, and people would feel sorry for me, so they'd pay me a quarter for my polished rocks. They actually look pretty good, you know what I mean? I still think they're worth a quarter, but so that was my first foray into enterprise and entrepreneurship.
Did that pay for college?
I think it paid for maybe one meal in college, and that was about it. Better than nothing.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Well, that's interesting.
Oh, how about you?
One new fun thing. So I was cleaning out my basement literally the other day, and I found a bunch of stamps that I think my grandfather collected as an adult as well as a child, and I saw some extremely old stamps. There are some pre-war stamps. Now here's the fun thing about philatelics.
Pre-Civil War, or which war are we talking?
my grandfather's not.
We've had so many.
I'm not that old. My grandfather was born in the 1900s. I think just barely in the 1900s. So
okay.
My father's dad was born in 1898, but no, this one was born, I think, in 1900 and 1902. But anyway, so it's pre-World War II. Thank you.
Okay. Got it.
And some of the ones that I looked up online could be worth like $300-$400. So
wow.
But the problem of philatelics, which is kind of the study of stamps or the collecting of stamps or whatever, is that there are very few people who give a crap that you find all these great stamps. You have to find a reputable American Philatelic Society dealer, and then one that wants to look at the stamps that you've collected. Now, if you don't have it all arrayed and you don't have it in a book or whatever, that's a problem. And you know how many people run across their grandparents' old stamp collections and bother these people? A lot. So I found that out the hard way.
Well, my brother is a stamp dealer, so I totally get it.
Maybe I can send them to you, and you can go and bring them to him. He'll do the same thing this guy did and toss them aside and go,
he doesn't need any more stamps. So if you find one with an upside down airplane on it, then you hit the jackpot. Yeah, the upside down Jenny.
Yes.
That's about all I know about stamp collecting.
Yeah, so. but there are plenty of other stamps that are valuable.
Oh, yeah.
The problem is that, the difference between a valuable one and one that's not valuable is very small differences.
Right, exactly.
And Dwight, do you know how much room I have in my life for figuring what that is?
I would say slim to none, my friend.
Yeah, less than none, like negative. So I want to honor my grandfather and I want to figure it all out, but I'm running out of time. So well, I kind of budgeted some time for it. There are apps for it, but they're not very good and they cost a ton of money. So
slowly over time.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So that's my thing that no one knows, or now everybody knows, and they're all laughing at me.
Look, they just heard about my polishing rocks. Do you think they're gonna? You think they're gonna be laughing at your stamps?
Stamps and rocks. Yeah. One's more valuable than the other. Yours could be much more valuable if you pick the right rock.
Yeah, true. Very true.
Hey, this one's shiny. It looks like a crystal. I can't polish it. It's destroying my rock polisher as I put it in there. Anyway, yes. So welcome to the season finale of season 7. It was a phenomenal season. Now let's dive into it and talk a little bit about what we learned. So season 7 was interesting, Dwight, and I know that you've actually thought a little bit about kind of the themes that kind of ran through your head as you were looking at the list of the episodes that we had recorded.
That is true. As I listened to it and went back and re-listened to some of the episodes and looked at them, biggest theme in my mind was really...
Hi, I'm Carmen Hudson. I'm the host of the Recruiting Book Club, and we're starting our 2nd season. I'm so excited to bring to you another set of guests of recruiters who have written books. We are excited to have some very special guests this season. We've got Shally, we've got Craig Fisher, James Ellis, and quite a few other people that we're going to bring on board to tell us about what they wrote, why they wrote it, and maybe we'll veer off into a conversation about recruiting on all types of topics and subjects that happen in our industry. So I hope you can join us. I'm excited.
Drivers and motivations. And we looked at that from a lot of different angles. And what I mean by that is the sub-theme that I think of with this is meshing humans and technologies, or as you loved that I said, crossbreeding humans and computers.
We are not advocating for human hybrids, by the way.
Exactly. We may be getting there pretty soon. I'm just saying.
Eventually.
Yeah. But those were really the themes that I picked out of things. And I mean, to some extent, every season we could say that about, because we really do examine both humans, because we're talking human resources, and we talk a lot about the technology side of things. But I felt like we really took some different angles with it, with this season.
Yeah. And to that point, because we're going to go early in this podcast and talk about, artificial intelligence being such a gigantic topic, and especially something that a lot of people are concerned about, how it's influencing the world of human resources and how it's really embedding itself into a lot of the decisions that we make, or what is it kind of doing to our roles, and what is it going to do for our jobs? We actually had a lot of conversations both last season and this season about that. And it's going to bleed into probably many more of our episodes as we go forward, because it's really driving a lot of the conversation.
Yeah. It is not getting smaller, definitely getting bigger.
Yeah.
And will continue to do so.
And rightly it should. I mean, I was thinking about this for a presentation I'm going to be doing this week, comparing the generations and their exposure to technology and their usefulness of technology has been fascinating from, I started my work in the 80s when computers really weren't around. They were starting to embed themselves into the human resources world, but they really weren't there yet. And then after, in the 90s, we started to see a gigantic approach because they were embedding themselves into everywhere. Well, it's that same kind of process or I guess you could say seasonality, that now it went from computers embedding themselves to the internet embedding itself, and now, artificial intelligence embedding itself into every aspect of work, but most of all, into what we care about, which is how HR influences the rest of the business.
So let me ask you this. I mean, since you started in the work world in the 80s, and it was just the computers were still coming in, and the 90s, we saw that proliferation of things. Compare the conversations that we have about AI with the conversations that were happening around computers and their influence on jobs at that point. Is it a recycling? Or is it a very different conversation?
I think it's a very analogous conversation. I mean, every time a gigantic innovation happens in the world of business, it influences how we work. And to your point, and I guess to the emphasis in the question, it really changes who we are and how we work. I love bringing up the example of those manila envelopes that used to go interoffice, because the mailroom would, come by your desk and pick up your mail and drop off your incoming mail. And, that form, that very secure merit increase form or market adjustment form that had someone's increase in it, that was being sealed with a extremely secure manila envelope that had holes in it, by the way.
Yeah, that was considered a firewall at that point.
Those holes. Right. Well, it had the string, which made sense. If that string had come undone, then that meant somebody looked at it. Well, there was some ethics there. So, but now think about how that process has changed. We kind of don't have a mailroom anymore, right? And any mail you're getting, pretty much from a snail mail perspective, gets put on, a desk, and then people have to pretty much go get it themselves, or you have somebody whose responsibility is as part of what they do to do that. But really, the concept of the mailroom is gone. The concept of those forms has now been transformed into your HRIS has employer manager self-service. So, that analogy of how does the technology transform the way we work? Well, there are a few jobs we just talked about, specifically the mailroom, where that's gone, right? And the concept of those manila envelopes, we don't buy them anymore because they're not necessary. That interoffice
can't buy them anymore. Probably.
Well, you probably can, and they're probably gag gifts. But
yeah, exactly.
But
either that or collector's items on eBay,
right? And we used to have tons of them laying around everywhere until they got thrown away. Not recycled, by the way, but thrown away. But that's the point, though, Dwight. To your question, as technology has improved, as connectivity has improved, as the computer has become more able to take away some of the things that we've been doing from an administration perspective, the job that we do has fundamentally changed. And a lot of us will say for the better. I mean, I loved having the mailroom person come around and have a conversation with them about how the Rangers are doing. But that's gone. That job has now transformed. It's become something else.
It's interesting hearing the conversations around AI, because you hear so often that AI is going to take over all the jobs. And we even touch on that some
a little bit,
in the episodes this season. But I think that I don't think there's a true understanding of what AI is. And so I think it's good that we're starting to explore the AI topic from different angles and throughout season 7 and into the future, because I think we need to I think we really need to set the stage for what exactly is AI and what will it replace and what won't it replace.
I don't know if you remember, but when we came back from HR Tech last year for season, I think it was during season 6, and then we started to, I think we actually had them done by the end of season 6 because we had made them in parallel with the normal series. Everything that we were talking about was artificial intelligence. Every single thing. There wasn't a thing that was at the HR technology conference that wasn't, that at least had something to do with HR tech, AI in HR tech. And to me, that kind of speaks to not what's happening in 2024 or 2025, but what's happening beyond. Because those technologies don't get adopted right away. They get adopted slowly. And so we might see this coming HR tech stories about adoptions that companies had kind of, early adopters had kind of taken on from the 2023 HR tech conference, and what was the end result. And so there may be a little pushback, or they may have honed, a lot of those companies that brought AI and were talking about AI may have honed their story now.
Yeah, I think the companies are honing their story. I think it's the employees that aren't necessarily the experts in AI, or the people who are not necessarily the experts that put AI in this big bucket, and it's sort of a big brother sort of bucket that they think of it in, where they just don't know enough to know how's it going to help us, what's it going to replace. We're answering all of those kinds of questions. I'm just putting the finishing touches on a white paper of the influence of AI in customer service, and have some interesting data about, there are a lot of people out there saying that, matter of fact, I think one of our guests even said that we're at the point where AI will completely replace customer service representatives.
Yes, somebody did say that.
And the data just doesn't bear out in the data, and it doesn't bear out in logic when you start to look at what AI can and can't do, and you start to think about the jobs. And I think that that's extensible across a lot of different jobs. I mean,
sure.
I'm just looking at customer service, but all that to say that as the conversations move forward, it will be interesting, the myths that get dispelled and the facts that come out, and
sure,
where those two get mixed up with each other.
I'm looking forward to reading your white paper. I actually listened to somebody else's podcast. I know I actually did listen to somebody else's podcast, and yeah, don't be critical.
Did you podcast cheat on me?
Yeah, I did. I'm sorry. I have a lot of podcasts I listen to, but one of the fun things that I heard, or that I was listening to, was that a person had called in for customer support to, I forget what they said they were calling into, but they said it took them at least 10 minutes in a conversation with AI to realize that it wasn't human.
Mm-hmm.
And while that's fascinating, it certainly wasn't my experience with T-Mobile. Love T-Mobile, don't get me wrong. But their go-to-market strategy is, you're going to talk to a human quickly if you want to. And that's okay. And I love that fact, because I've had so many conversations with AI that just don't understand what the heck I'm saying. Now, I don't have a heavy accent.
Right.
And I don't have a heavy lisp, although sometimes I might, especially if I'm tired. But trying to have a conversation with an artificial intelligence engine, still to this day, I'm pretty sure I can tell most of the time when it's AI.
Yeah.
And my first conversation with them is representative. Right. Exactly. Representative. Because
what did you not understand about representative?
Well, first, before I give you over to representative, can you please give me representative? Then I turn into my dad.
I know.
My eyes turn red. My blood pressure goes up. I start turning into the Hulk. Representative.
Start bashing the phone on that.
Hulk want representative. Okay, Hulk, we're going to get you over to representative right away.
Right, exactly. But that's what I mean. That's what I mean about the meshing of humans with technology, or the crossbreeding between humans and computers. Because, I mean, let's face it, we're trying to make these computers be exactly human.
Yes.
And the technology's getting there.
Yeah.
It's not there yet, as we've just been talking about. But
yeah, but I think it still goes back to solving what problem, right?
right.
In the context of customer service, might be okay. I think there are a lot of wonderful customer service people that I've spoken to that really know their job, but some of them are in such complex roles, and they're dealing with things that are extremely personal, like, for example, a banking or whatnot, that, you probably could get away with talking to an AI about your banking relationship until it gets to the point where it says that check wasn't deposited and we're not going to tell you why.
Right.
Well, I'll give you another example.
Yep.
Whenever you call a package service, and by package service, I mean one that has 3 letters in their name or one that has 5 letters in their name, and you're saying, where is my package? I'm waiting for it. It seems stalled at its current location and tracking. You cannot talk to a human. They won't let you. And trying to talk to an AI about that, all it will tell you is what the current step is in the tracking process. Because other than that, it won't give you any more information, and it won't be more helpful than that.
Yeah. Zero problem solving.
Exactly. And when we talk about AI in HR, that is not going to work. My medical benefits aren't working. You're going to tell me that an AI is going to be able to help somebody with that? I don't think so.
Yeah. Good luck.
Exactly.
Good luck.
But that's also where the compassion of the person, right? And the willingness to go the next step. An AI is probably not programmed to be as compassionate nor willing to go the next step. It's got facts.
Right.
Facts are, you're not in our system. I don't know why. It doesn't tell me why. And therefore, I can't tell you. Thank you very much. Have a great day, and hang up. And the person, then they actually have to go to urgent care because they're having a heart attack because they're getting pissed.
Right.
And I don't mean to make light of that situation, but that's where some people are. Where for whatever reason, my benefits aren't showing up anymore. I still have my job. I don't know why. It's just not. It's not there. So. These are circumstances and situations where, we're talking right now about one of the major themes that we were dealing with in season 7, which is people are worried about their jobs. People are worried about their roles, and AI in the world of human resources is going to be something that we're going to talk about for a very long time.
And we're going to hit it from a lot of different angles.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah. And I think it's important. It's here. It's part of our lives.
Yep.
We've got to talk about it, because otherwise it's big, hairy, and scary.
Exactly.
If we don't.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking subscribe. This podcast is made possible by Salary.com. Now, back to the show.
But the other thing that we talked about during season 7, which I know that you wanted to talk about as well, is the being more human and the ability to be more yourself, which is exactly the opposite of what we were just talking about being more programmatic and more human, more
robotic,
AI, But we had some conversations this year which were actually rather emotional for us, because they all focused on being a different human,
right,
and learning from our past woundings and our past interactions with people, and how that makes us react in the next situation, which isn't always good. And it did get really, really emotional for us in at least 2 or 3 episodes, right?
Yeah.
There was, the woundings one was Amber Ontiveros. That was really powerful.
Yeah.
Really, really powerful.
That was toward the end.
Yeah. There was another one, though, that...
well, there was Jacob Morgan with Leading with Vulnerability.
That was it. Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was a powerful one as well. Because... we always try and show our brave face. We always try and be, I'm a corporate, I'm a computer. I don't show an emotion at work. Yeah, good luck. Right.
Well, and I got to say, those made me really uncomfortable for exactly what you just said. You put your work face on, you put up the steel wall, and I don't have feelings. I'm just a machine. And, like going there. And trust me, in my life, I've gone there plenty. And so as those episodes were coming up, I was like,
Yeah.
God, admittedly, I really was not looking forward to recording them. But at the end, I was glad we did. And it gave a lot to think about. And
Absolutely.
And even as I was thinking about this recap of the season, I went back to Jacob's leading with vulnerability and thought about times where I've done it effectively, at least effectively relative to what he was saying, the way that he was saying you should do it,
right?
And ways that I've done it ineffectively, and then ways that I just have not done it at all. And I think I err more towards the not doing it at all because I just don't like putting myself out there.
That's how we read up.
Right.
You can't bring an authentic part of yourself to work, and that,
right,
that kind of sucks. I'll tell you 2 other episodes that really kind of threw me for a loop, and that I was really uncomfortable with. The Becky Yvonne episode where we were talking about, how white DE&I professionals, we can look at what their job is and not get worried about it or not think about it in the wrong way. That one I was really worried about because I wasn't really sure where we were going with it. But at the end of the day, it actually turned out to be quite a fascinating episode because it really gave us a understanding of the kind of problems that they're dealing with, or the kind of way that and because they're white, how they actually have to work around that in order to be more effective or to be effective in DE&I.
Right.
And then the second one was Robin Rodriguez. And in a very similar way, we were talking about the challenges that female leaders have to overcome, all of the crap that is stacked against them still to this day. And
right.
I love Robin, and I thought it was a wonderful episode. But, kind of transitioning from those, I think if we look back, most of the conversations that we had this season were really fascinating in their own way. They were challenging in their own way. They gave us a lot to think about, and it was a good season. I think 7 was a really good season.
Oh, yeah.
And when we look back on season, and we look back rather favorably, it's one that I think we're going to be very proud of for many years.
And I really hope that despite our discomfort going into it, that our listeners start to see the human side of us too. And I hope that I'm able to bring that out for myself, whether it's scary or not. But because as we get into season 8, we wrapped up with some very human issues with season 7, and we're going to continue looking at that as we go forward into season 8.
That is true.
So,
to be honest, because of the conversation we had about AI, I think I want people to think of me as more robotic. So I'm going to go the other way. Call me Captain Data or Corporal Data.
Quit being so shallow. Quit being so shallow.
Let's talk a little bit about season 8, because we've actually recorded a bunch of season 8 already, and I'm really looking forward to those releases. There's going to be some fascinating conversations again.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, some really powerful ones.
We've got some really cool ones coming up.
Really, so stick around, all of you, because it's not going to happen today. Sorry, but over the next couple of months, we've actually had some great guests, and again, ones that have kind of knocked our socks off.
Right.
So stay tuned.
It's going to be a good season. Oh, heck, they're all good seasons.
Well,
I say that every season.
They're all our children.
It's going to be a good season. Well, they're all, yeah, exactly. Hopefully it's not the ugly baby.
Yeah, well, I'll take that one. That's me. Hey, are you listening to this and thinking to yourself, man, I wish I could talk to David about this? Well, you're in luck. We have a special offer for listeners of the HR Data Labs podcast. A free half-hour call with me about any of the topics we cover on the podcast or whatever is on your mind. Go to salary.com/HRDL consulting to schedule your free 30-minute call today. But now it's time to turn our attention to the past and the future, Dwight. Now it's the time of that episode, of the season finale episode, where we get to look back. And we're looking back now on the season 6 recap. And we're going to talk a little bit about the predictions that were made.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's time to look at the crystal ball from the past and say, what did we say 6 months ago? And what happened with that? So would you like me to remind you what your prediction was from season 6?
No, I'm looking right at it as we.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, no, please don't remind me.
Yeah, please, no, there's other areas I don't want you to remind me of.
All right.
No, I thank you to you. I've got it right in front of me here. So I talked about, as I termed it, ESGs, and as it turns out, I got
we both did.
I got the acronym wrong. Yeah, it's really ERGs.
Employee resource groups, and DE&I. And I talked about the fact that there's going to continue to be pressure against ERGs and DEI, just based on some of the stuff that I was seeing in the news. And I want to be clear the same way that I hope I was clear last time, because somebody may misconstrue that and say that I am against ERGs and DEI. That is not the case at all. That is not the case at all. Absolutely.
In fact, I view it as a real positive that there's this pushback against it, because meaningful change, the only time that change becomes meaningful is when there's controversy around it. And the only time that change is going to stick is when there's controversy around it. And so to me, it's a positive sign, because there have continued to be other articles. I mean, it's not a big proliferation of articles, but there have continued to be other instances where there's pushback against ERG. There's elimination of ERGs in different companies that have started to go down that road. Even elimination of DEI programs in companies and other organizations. But I view that as part of the natural transition of this becoming a concept to this being a way of life. And I think it's going to be I think it's a really positive thing, even though it's painful going through it. I did continue to see some in the news about losing those in different companies and organizations. So I feel like my prediction was on the mark, but I am not the appropriate judge. You are the judge of that.
Oh no, so. I thought it was spot on. And again, both of us are very much in favor of diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. And I agree with you. It would be nice if someday we didn't need them, but we do.
Right.
Going to work is not a place where we can show our authentic selves. And actually, that's more necessary than ever.
Right.
And we have not turned the corner on that evolution yet. And it sucks. But no, you get an A+ on your prediction, which puts more pressure on your next prediction, which we're going to get to in a minute.
Yeah, the one I've got is not going to top that one.
So,
hey, you can't hit it out of the park.
No, you can't. You can't. You need some singles sometimes. We might hit home runs every once in a while, but you need some singles, and you strike out every once in a while. It's okay.
That's all right. If I get an RBI, I'm happy.
Yeah. Okay. I'm done with analogies from baseball. I am not a baseball fan, so if you talk about you scored a shutout,
talk about hockey, we got
we got it. You swept the series. Okay, great. But yeah. Okay, now for mine. So my prediction was that artificial intelligence in HR is going to get scrutinized more based on some of the court cases, and I was specifically speaking about the Workday case. And legislation, especially from the EU and some other entities. Well, there actually has been some movement on AI legislation. It hasn't been very specific about HR, but there are HR rules that need to follow from that. And so I don't know, maybe that's more like a kind of a B or B-, because
you're
No.
You're undercutting
Yeah,
yourself.
well, no, I know I am, but for a purpose. What I was talking about in that prediction was that there was going to be movement and there was going to be specific legislation. Now, maybe some states had passed that. That's true. But I was thinking that there would be more legislation. But I mean, Congress is just a shit show right now. But I thought there would be some legislation that it would at least come out of the federal government around being able to portray at least a framework. But that hasn't happened yet. So.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't, but I still think you hit it spot on. I mean, you may be taking your prediction a little bit too literal there.
Maybe.
Because there has been plenty out there about not only legislation, but just self-governance in the industry. And to me, that's just as good and probably better than legislation. So I'm gonna give you an A on that one, maybe even an A+.
No, I'm gonna max out at a B+, if that. I think it's more of a B- or a C+. You know.
Look, dude, I'm grading your paper. I didn't say that this was a self-grading test.
Great.
No.
Just pass it to the next person in the class and they'll let them grade it. Great.
That's right.
It's not Professor Brown. So, okay. All right. Well, but now we actually have to put on our Karnak hats and think about and look in our crystal ball, whatever you want to do, and come up with what's our prediction for the next 6 months. So we'll evaluate this in the beginning of 2025 after we've gone through a full political cycle. The political cycle probably will be done by then. Given the crap that happened last time, I don't know about that. It may actually keep going until what has to end on, I think, January 20th. So, you know.
Oh, God, yes. The shit show merry-go-round.
Yeah, God help us. We do not talk politics on this program, but unfortunately, I don't know how we're going to avoid it for this 6 months. This is going to suck.
Right. Yeah, there's no way we're going to be able to avoid it.
Well,
we'll just have to skirt around it as best possible.
Yeah, well, where is your head going? Where do you think?
All right, so my prediction, I couldn't think of any great predictions, but this one is based off my own.
It has to be accurate. It doesn't have to be great. Let's just put it that way.
This one is based off my own exasperation and frustration.
Okay.
I think that we're going to see a movement again. I think we've got survey fatigue at this point. I can't go anywhere. I can't purchase anything. I can't do anything. I can't make a telephone call without getting a survey asking me to give my opinion on something. I mean, my inbox is full of more surveys than it is real email because every action. And so I think that I think people are getting fed up, and I think that we're going to start to see a pushback against that. I know that's benign, but especially as we go into this political environment, I want to stay as far away from politics as possible. So, and maybe it is a political issue, but anyway, I think we're going to start to see pushback against companies doing surveys for anything and everything.
Okay, is that including like employee engagement and satisfaction surveys?
No, I mean, like consumer.
Oh, we're going to the consumer world now?
Survey.
Okay. We're going to have to change it from HR data labs to now the data labs.
Hey, humans run the consumer side.
Do we?
Things,
are you sure?
So,
are you sure it's not AI yet?
Well, that's true. That's true.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The human-centered robots.
All right. I'm not sure how we're going to measure this because it seems like a very unmeasurable.
I know. I told you I didn't have a great one.
Yeah, well, you're right.
And I've been agonizing this. I've been agonizing over this for like 3 weeks, and that's the best I can come up with.
Okay. All right. Well, it is
So
what
blow
it
me
is.
out of the water with yours.
No, I'm not going to. I think I'm going to stay on path with some of the things, some of the themes that I've talked about in previous predictions. I'm going back to pay transparency again because we've still seen, states adopting it very slowly, but adopting it. I think that what's happening now is pay transparency is going to become something that companies have to de facto do because they operate in states either next to or in. I mean, we're talking New York and California are two that actually have it now, and Colorado as well, and others. I don't see how you're going to get away with not having some form of transparency. So I think I'm going to lean in a little bit here and say that transparency is going to continue, and that there are going to be more states adopting legislation on it, and that we're going to see many companies just adopt a standard of pay transparency just because it's easier than trying to figure out which state are we going to post this damn job in and move forward. So I think we're going to go to that, what we've been calling for a while, lowest common denominator, and saying that's got to just be part of what we do.
Right.
So that's my prediction.
I think that's a great prediction. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I tend to agree with you. I
failed on one of them because I said pay transparency was going to be picked up by a lot more states, and it didn't happen. But in this case, I'm not saying a lot more states. I'm saying that my specific prediction, by the way, is that more companies are going to adopt a de facto standard of pay transparency. I don't know how we're going to measure that either, but that they're going to, because they operate in so many states that already have it.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, I think, a lot of companies here, even if they're not in the state, it seems like they're starting to adopt it more and more. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out over the next 6 months.
Yep.
And I think you hedge your bets well so that you don't get an F on it.
Yeah, it's all right. Get an F. My GPA for these season ending episodes isn't that great anyway. So, if it came down to you grading me the whole time, yeah, it would be higher. But when I grade myself really low. So my GPA sucks.
Oh, no.
Well,
give yourself more credit.
Nah, I don't need it. But listen, granted that we've been doing this now for many years, and that we've gone over 50,000 downloads, and, we're on our way to easily over 200 episodes. And it's just so much fun. And I really want to thank you, Dwight, for being a really wonderful partner in this, and being a great co-host, and really taking on a lot of burden of helping us get this podcast out. Obviously, we have to also thank Carissa Harris, who's been a phenomenal podcast manager and really helped us make this actually sound somewhat useful.
Yep.
And Carl, what would we do without Carl?
Hood. Carl Hood with Affogato Media. We got to put a plug in there for him.
Wonderful.
He works wonders.
Yeah. He makes us sound human.
Oh, yeah.
Not AI.
I know exactly. He makes us sound halfway decent. Usually. Well, you at least. But no, I appreciate you bringing me along on this journey. I mean, we have so much fun together, and I love these wrap up episodes because I don't know, it's just great being able to sit down and shoot the bull with you, and tie in a theme with it. Yeah. So,
and the fact that people are still listening to this, it's just amazing. But thank you very much, everybody, for being a part of it, and for shepherding us through all these years. And we have a lot of great input that we get. And I just had actually a conversation today with a podcast listener who was asking questions about her workforce planning and how it can work inside of a larger organization. So we get really great interactions with our listeners, and that's just one part of it, and it's just wonderful.
Yeah, it's an awesome piece of it.
Again, Dwight, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to be with you all of these episodes.
Likewise, my friend. I love it, and here's to many more.
Yep. Well, actually, raise a glass. I know that you can't hear it on the...
I'm raising my energy drink.
Yep. I can't knock it against anything because everything's really expensive, and I don't want to hit against my SM7B because it'll destroy it like it did last year. But
your desk collapses.
God forbid. But dude, again, thank you very much. Take care. And everybody, thank you for listening. Take care and stay safe.
That was the HR Data Labs podcast. If you liked the episode, please subscribe. And if you know anyone that might like to hear it, please send it their way. Thank you for joining us this week, and stay tuned for our next episode. Stay safe.